Hello there everyone, my name is Amy, this is The Opinionated Woman, and welcome back to Crafty Reads, the series where I craft and do some kind of art, and I talk about the last 5 books that I've read. If you do enjoy this video, please consider supporting me by liking, commenting, subscribing, and maybe even popping down and give me a one-time little tip in my Kofi donation link. That would be absolutely wonderful. But without further ado, let's get into these books because there are some good ones and there are some fucking doozies in today's video, let me tell you. Oh, actually, before we get into the books, I've been writing for a plant website, like a gardening website, and I've been really enjoying myself, and I've been getting way more into plants. There is a plant video coming at some point. I just need to finish off the last little bit. So as you've seen in my last couple of videos, I have put one of my plants here to as kind of set decoration. So today we have a string of bananas, which I absolutely love. It's some kind of succulent. So yes, this is going to be a plant friend that's going to join us for the rest of this video. But anyway, let me get into the books. The first book that I read is Girls Can Kiss Now by Jill Guttowitz. This is an essay collection that I found in the Scribd, newest books on Scribd section. And I decided to pick it up because, well, the title, no. And the premise sounded really good, and I was like, you know what, if I want to branch out and get more into essays, like gay essays are probably a good way to go, you know? So these are all written by, as I said, Jill Guttowitz, who is a millennial. She was born a couple of years after me, so she grew up around the same time as me. She was also a late blooming lesbian. She came out in her late 20s as well. So I already right off the bat really related to her, and as the essays carried on, like that like sense of nostalgia and like relatability just like got like stronger and stronger, because Guttowitz is a pop culture writer. Like that's what she does for a living, you know, before she published a book. And she's like a hardcore Swiftie, like hardcore. She like goes into like all of the conspiracy theories and stuff. She doesn't, not in the book, but like as her job. So a lot of the essays have got to do with pop culture and how pop culture shaped her queer, like closeted experience. And it was so relatable to me. Like, just for example, like the relationship between Lindsay Lohan and Samantha Ronson, I completely forgot about it, but I was obsessed with it at the time because Lindsay Lohan was so fucking cool, and she was dating a woman, like a mask DJ, you know? Or like an androgynous DJ, and I was like so obsessed with it, and I didn't know why, because I didn't know that I was gay. And now looking back on it, I'm like, oh my god, the feels, the absolute feels. And so that was really interesting. It was really great looking back on my childhood through a gayer lens, my teenagehood, I suppose. And she did it in such a freaking hilarious way. She's so funny and witty and like quick. And I picked this up on audio, and she narrates it, and I really recommend that because it's a great audiobook. And I hadn't heard anyone else talking about this book, and now that I've finished it, I'm seeing it all over TikTok. So this might be something that I hopped on by accident, but yeah, I highly recommend Girls Can Kiss Now, because girls can kiss now. Then we're going to get into the #1 dud, the worst book I've read this year. The book that is not getting donated, it is getting destroyed, and that is What About Mira by Dala. Now, I was going to go into a whole fucking spoiler tirade about this, but this book was part of my South African reading vlog, and I go into full details about this book there, full spoilers and everything about why I find this book so toxic and horrendous. So I won't waste too much breath on it here. Basically, it follows our character Mira, who is very shallowly written. You hardly ever get to know anything about Mira as an actual person, except for some really horrible actions. Like, we don't get too much of Mira's internal dialogue, we don't get too much of her personality, besides from some really horrendous things that she does. And particularly this one event that I found so disgusting that it really concerned me that the author had put this event in this book, because Mira works in a school for autistic children. And the way that the autistic children are written, it's like they're objects. They're not written like they're people. Mira is having an affair with one of the dads of the children at the school that she works at. And his child, only thing we know about him is that he clicks. That is it. That's the only info you get about this child until this absolutely horrendous event happens with him. And it hurt my heart. And it just concerned me so much that someone who works with autistic children would have the gall to write a scene like this and then not have any repercussions. Because literally this horrendous thing happens and then it just sort of peters off, and Mira has a big whine about how sad her life is. But this sounds really vague, and I'm doing it on purpose because I really don't want you to go out and read this book. I suggest going to that vlog, and if you don't want to watch the whole thing, just skip to the part about this book. Or you can go onto my TikTok at The Opinionated Woman. There's a video on there of me reading it, and I give a whole explanation as to why I hate this book so much. So this is not being donated. This is being put in the fire. Luckily, I finished off the South African reading vlog with a much better book, and that's early one Sunday morning. I decided to step out and find South Africa. That by Luke Alfred. That title is hardcore. They should have adjusted it. It's just way too long. So this book is like, think of like a Bill Bryson style travel book. It's that kind of vibe, but with a South African man. So with this author, it's a non-fiction. I didn't tell you that. So the author basically goes on a series of walks through different parts of South Africa. And as he walks, he talks about the scenery that he's seen, he talks about the people that he's with, he talks about memories that it evokes for him, and he talks about the history of the place. So it's a really nice way of having like a little tour of different parts of South Africa and like these beautiful natural places in South Africa, and to get some insight into the area at the same time. I thought it was a really nice way to explore things. The book started off on my favorite road in Joburg, Hope Street. It's like parallel to Louis Botha, and I was like, okay, this book's gonna be good. And there's like multiple places that he went that I knew of, which was really cool to like put myself in that place and then bring up memories of different places that I've been in South Africa, and like all of those kind of like, it brought up a lot of nostalgia, and I thought it was really well done, and it was just an absolutely lovely little trip through South Africa. There's not much more to say. It was just, this one was a good one. Hooray! So at the moment I'm just outlining more bits in gold to make some of these patches that I can start doing this in, but I'm trying not to do too much that I smudge it, because if I smudge it I'm going to get real mad. So the next book that I read, which one was it? Was Rise to the Sun by Leah Johnson. Now this one was a disappointment for me. We're following our two main characters, Olivia and Tony. Olivia is a senior in high school, and she's very much like gone through relationship after relationship, like getting herself wholeheartedly obsessed and then getting her heart broken, and then her friend Imani is always the one that has to pick up the pieces. And then on the other side we have Tony, who her father has died recently, and she's still trying to suffer through that, come to terms with it and everything. And they and both of these main characters are going to a festival called Farmlands Festival. And Olivia is going with her friend Imani, and Imani says at the beginning of the festival, like, please don't make this about you falling head over heels for some random and then me having to pick up the pieces. Let's just let this be a friend thing. So immediately after she says that, I'm like, okay, I know what one of the conflicts is going to be in the book. And that is what happened. Tony and Olivia meet, it's one of those like insta-love vibes. They agree to perform together in some competition at this festival, which is a part of the story that I felt was like so poorly fleshed out. Like, I think she needed to get more into the performance side of it or leave it out completely. It just seemed like such a random and not well fleshed out inclusion. And Olivia basically just does exactly what she says that she wouldn't do to Imani, and then seems to be fucking surprised when Imani is mad about it. Like, I feel like Olivia does redeem herself somewhat by the end of the book, but you know what? I think if I wasn't so fucking jaded, if I wasn't a 32-year-old lady who's like been through some really shitty toxic relationships, and like I very much see through the whole you Hawley, let's fall in love immediately kind of gay vibe, because I've seen the other end of it and it's not pretty. I mean, it works for some people, but like for a lot of people, and these are teenagers we're talking about, I feel like if I read this as a teenager, I would have like been able to suspend my disbelief at some of the ridiculous things that happen. And I would have had a lot of space to excuse some of the behavior that Olivia exhibited, and Tony actually, because they were both really immature and bad at communicating, but they're teenagers, so I feel like if I'd read this as a teenager, I might have found it romantic. Me as an adult is like, this is a terrible relationship, it should not happen. There are such warning signs so early on. If shit is going that badly and getting that dramatic when you've only been acquainted with each other for 2 days, shit is not going to go well for you. And that's how I found that this book felt, and I was really disappointed. But I will read from Leah Johnson in the future because she is a very good writer. And the last book was another disappointment. No. So I started reading this book called, I can't even remember the name. It was so dull and stupid. Complicit by Nikki French. Because as you've seen with a lot of my reading, I do struggle to find thriller authors. Like, I keep going back to classics, like with my last Crafty reads in Karen Slaughter and Michael Connolly, because I can't find new thriller authors that I actually enjoy. So I tried the Nikki French book, absolutely hated it, and DNF'd it. And then I saw a video of Mercy's Bookish Musings, where she was talking about the fact that Nikki French didn't work for her either, because we both read the Nikki French series because of Jen Campbell, but it didn't work for either of us. And then she was like, so other people recommended to her Raven Black by Anne Cleves. It's the beginning of a murder mystery series set in the Shetland Islands, and I was like, oh, Shetland Islands, like that's a cool vibe. It's like very atmospheric, all of that kind of stuff. Like got the small town vibes and everything. So I thought, okay, let me give this a go. And you know what? It was fine. It was just fine. I'm not going to be reading more of it. There's nothing that's going to motivate me to read more of that series, because it just was very dull to me. It follows the death of this young girl. One of the people in the village find her strangled with her scarf, and there's this strange old man in the village that had seen her the day before that everybody suspects, but they also suspect him because there was a murder that happened years and years ago that he was also, brought in for questioning on. So we're following the mystery behind what happened to this murdered girl, as well as a bit of the mystery of what happened to the previous girl, because her body was never found. We follow the points of view of the old man himself, of the local woman who found the body, and we also follow one of the police inspectors, Perez. And to be honest, I really liked the atmosphere. The like spooky Shetland Island vibe was really, really cool. And I liked the small town vibe of it for sure. But the actual story itself was just dull. There was you can't call this a thriller. This is definitely just a mystery. There is nothing thrilling about this book in the slightest. I just thought it was a very dull, run-of-the-mill mystery, and I wasn't that enamored with the realizations we came to, and I didn't really care about, there was a sort of twist, it was a surprise as to who was responsible, but it didn't take me by surprise. It was just a very plodding, kind of dull book, to be honest. So, actually, there ended up being 3 disappointing books and only 2 good ones. I didn't have that impression coming into this video when I was prepping for it, but that is very interesting. Anyway, I've done these really swirly whirlies, and I hope you did enjoy that. I enjoyed 4 minutes. Hopefully will be back with a bunch of books that I preferred far more to these. I am already on a good track for that to happen, so I'm excited to do my next one. If you did enjoy this video, like, comment, subscribe, all of that fun stuff, and click my bell for notifications, and I'll take you next time.